Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today. I am Dr. Wayne Walters, proud superintendent of the Pittsburgh Public Schools. And before I give my opening remarks, I want to acknowledge some folks who are with us today. Board member Sylvia Wilson. Yes, and she is the board member for Pittsburgh Westinghouse. We also have here two of our principals, current principal, Mr. Clausen, and our incoming principal at Pittsburgh Westinghouse, Dr. Virginia Hill. She's right over here. Also, we have our First Lady of the City of Pittsburgh here with us, Mrs. Michelle Gainey. So we have the cast of thousands here to celebrate this special day. And so I'm excited to welcome everyone to this event, the induction of Dr. Mary Lee Brady-Atkins into the Pittsburgh Westinghouse Wall of Fame. I count it a privilege to have had the opportunity to honor Dr. Mary Lee Brady-Atkins this past November, when the Pittsburgh Public Schools was invited to a fireside chat with Dr. Brady-Atkins to hear about her remarkable life story. We know her inspiring journey was one that the Westinghouse school community needed to hear, and in our community there are countless treasures, especially among our African American members, that often remain hidden. That's why it's so important to ensure Dr. Brady-Atkins, or Dr. Mary as she's affectionately called, receive the recognition she deserves. While we make efforts to integrate the achievements of African Americans throughout our daily curriculum, Black History Month offers a unique opportunity to delve even deeper, unearthing stories that should be told and celebrate the living history within our midst. We're glad she will have the opportunity to have conversation with some of our students who are here today and take her rightful place among the illustrious alumni of Pittsburgh Westinghouse. And so I'll now turn it over to Ime Alaquiva, our resident storyteller through film, who has made this connection possible.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? All right. I think we'll have this microphone for. So, Portia, could you give this microphone? Yep. First of all, thank you all for coming to spend a little bit of time with us. We know y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all here with us, and we appreciate that. First of all, I am just going to say that you are an absolute incredible human being, period. Can we please give it up? Let's just, before I go into the questions, it's always important to keep it real, to keep it a buck all the way around. 95 years old, still here, still rocking, and let's just start. When was the last time you was in Westinghouse High School?
1949.
There we go.
1949, yeah.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, 1946 when I graduated.
1946. How was Westinghouse? Because it had to be totally different from today.
Well, not totally different. When I came in, I recognized that this was a library. It's quite fancy now. It wasn't as large. But it resembles the way it did in 1949. And I was always in the library.
Always in the library?
Yeah. It was a quiet place to study as well as look up things in the book and reading the books. And a lot of the textbooks were also in the library, so I could use those as well. I was a chemistry major, so I was reading a lot of chemistry books. And I met all my friends here. And we would have study hall, and that was usually out in the halls. And that was sort of a honorary position that you would, but I would use it to study. And gee, it's a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely. You, there's an understanding that you grew up on Monticello.
Yeah.
Wow. Tell us about that. Or Monticello. Which is it? Cultural cello or cello? Which one? Cello. Boom.
We called it Monticello.
Boom. Monticello.
Yeah.
How was it growing up on Monticello?
It was really nice. It was an integrated street. The whole neighborhood was integrated. Italians, some Jewish people, and a sparsely of African Americans. But it was a very comfortable street. The neighbors were neighborly, irrespective of what color. That didn't. I was thinking about that the other night. We never had any color conflicts. Now there were fights. Kids would fight, and I was always out there watching them. But they weren't fighting about color. They fought about issues or girlfriends.
Whoa.
But we didn't have any racial conflicts. As a matter of fact, when I was, I guess, about 10 years old, I was invited to a little white girls' party, and I was all dressed up. And now that I reflect back, I was the only one there. But I didn't notice it then. I didn't think about it. We would have Italian ladies bring real pizza and come and visit. And we had fences in the backyard. So it was a habit of women who usually were housewives. Most women didn't work. And they would talk over the fence with a cup of coffee or something, or borrowing. Everybody was borrowing an egg or borrowing a pound of sugar or something, back and forth. But it was a very comfortable, very, very happy childhood.
Wow. So when you think about Homewood, like a lot of younger people don't understand the glory days of Homewood. Frankstown bustling with commerce and things of that nature. Do you remember Homewood being sort of this central location where you hardly traveled outside of Homewood? Did you have everything you needed?
Well, it's true. Homewood was pretty self-sustained. We had meat markets, A&P, fish. I didn't know that people didn't eat fish. Well, what do I want to say? I didn't know that I didn't know that everybody didn't eat fish on Friday.
Oh.
We always had fish on Friday, so I thought everybody ate fish on Friday. Mm-hmm. It wasn't associated with any particular religion. So we had a fish market, meat market, produce, hardware. As a matter of fact, one of the hardware stores still exists on Homewood Avenue. I can't think of the name right now.
Anybody know the hardware
Oh,
store?
Salik, yeah.
Salik, yes.
And I used to go shopping every day. Go down to Homewood, buy a bag of cherries. By the time I got home, the bag was empty. And there was two theaters, one called Billmar, the other was Sheridan.
Wow. And that's where the Nickelodeon came from, was from Pittsburgh. Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. Education was extremely important to you because from Westinghouse, you've gone on to receive like massive education. Could you just talk briefly about the colleges that you went to, and was it difficult to sort of take that trajectory as far as education?
No, actually, education wasn't important to me. But each time I hit a milestone, it occurred to me that I could go to another one. When I graduated for some reason or other, it seemed to be important to me to go to summer school. I went to summer school 13 years, starting at 7th grade, because it occurred to me if you go to summer school, you don't have to take as many courses in the fall. So I got into the habit of going to summer school. So I finished Westinghouse in 3.5 years. I went to Baxter, finished that, and then came to Westinghouse and finished Westinghouse in 3.5 years. So I came out in 1949. Okay, I can't
For
remember.
high school,
Yeah,
46, and then college,
46, yeah, 46 in February. And I don't know if you still have them, but we had counselors. And I had a high school counselor called Mrs. Harrington. And Mrs. Harrington was a very nice lady, but I didn't realize that she must have had a lot of faith in me, because she recommended, I was always going to go to college, that's what my mother said, but it didn't occur to me that you had to really work to go to college.
You did, definitely.
So anyhow, Mrs. Harrington, who was a school counselor, referred me to Pitt, and I was admitted without admission. I didn't have take an admission course or graduate test. And it occurred to me years later, it never occurred to me that I got into Pitt pretty easy. And it had a mixed blessing, because I treated Pitt as if I were in high school, so I wanted to party just as hard as I did in high school. And the first semester, I was in trouble.
Uh-oh. You was in
And,
trouble the first semester?
Yep. And they suggested that I drop out a semester. And that really upset me. And they told me that I could go down the street and become a beautician, or I could do people's nails. I got so angry. Oh, and then I had to work. So I got a job as a nurse's aide at Montefiore Hospital for $84 a month. After 2 weeks working as an aide, I decided this is not for me. So I got back into Pitt, and after that I was a straight A student. And I decided that I wanted to be a chemist, and so I took chemistry for 2 years. And at that time, it was during the war had just ended, and so the lab was full of men. I was the only female in the labs. And it got so that I decided that I didn't want to be a chemist because it was so isolated. So in my 3rd year, I decided to go into sociology, and that was a snap. And so I went into some major sociology, minored in history, and then I decided that I would work at public welfare. I took the exam and flunked it. That made me angry. So I thought, well, I guess I'll go to graduate school. So I started applying around, and I was admitted at Smith. And they wondered why I didn't think of Smith in the first place. But Smith was sort of an afterthought. since I couldn't get into public welfare. And reflecting back, it occurred to me that the reason I flunked the exam is that Pittsburgh was so racist that my thinking about how you treat people was different than what the major culture was. Wow. But anyhow, I went to Smith, and then I decided to go into psychiatric social work, so I went. Smith has field placements, so it's a 2.5-year program, and you have 2 field placements, and you have 6 months place 1 year, and the second year 6 months place in another year, and these are in different states. So the first state I was assigned to Topeka, Kansas, and I never saw so much corn in all my life. And I worked at the Menninger Clinic, which is a psychiatric clinic, and they were very expensive, and they really were used by prominent people who became mentally ill. I met my first husband there, and he was an aide in the mental hospital. Oh, and the mental hospitals had tunnels underneath, and they really were dungeons. And the state hospitals still had the rooms and the shackles that they would put patients in. Oh. And we would use that tunnel to go from one building to another. But anyhow, my second placement was in Illinois Research. And I went back to Topeka and married. My husband was in law school. And I stayed there for 4 or 5 years. And I left because of tornadoes. I had never been so frightened in all my life to have tornadoes. When you lay in bed, the pots and pans rattle on the shelves, the windows rattle, and you don't know if the whole house is going to leave. And so I decided, before my husband graduated from law school, I am leaving this town. And so I decided I'd go to Chicago. And I went back to Illinois Research, where I had been field placement, and ran a school for disturbed children. And I stayed there for a while. And Chicago, that was in '72. Chicago already was beginning to show signs of gang strength. And my son's friend was shot. Didn't kill him, but shot, and I thought, no, I got to get out of here. Yeah. So I decided that I would go to a university. I didn't know where. And my husband said, well, if you got to be divorced, why don't you go to Flint, where my family lives? So I thought, that's a good idea. So I went to Flint, and Michigan State offered me a job, and I stayed there for quite a while. I went in as a social worker with the medical students, and from there they asked me to come and be an assistant professor in a medical school. So I worked there, and I learned that, well, the first year I was there, I got a pink slip. Well, usually when you get a pink slip when you work for the government, it means you're fired. And so I went racing into the dean's office and shaking this piece of paper and saying, what is this? He said, that's the end of your contract. And I said, you mean to tell me I gave up a permanent job in Illinois to come here with 2 kids to be in a contract? And he said yes. And I said, well, how do you get to be a permanent person? And you have to have a PhD. Well, how do you get a PhD? And you know, it was interesting. I'd go around and ask people, how do you get a PhD? Nobody knew. These are PhDs I'm talking to. They don't know how to get a PhD. Finally, I went into graduate school, and of course, the professors there. Yeah. And that's how I got a PhD.
Wow, so super duper doctor. So thanks for sharing your educational journey with us, for sure. Thank you so much. So we'll do one more question, and then we have a special presentation for you. So really quickly, in short and in closing, how does it feel to be honored for the Westinghouse Wall of Fame amongst so many incredible people? You know, how does that feel?
Well, I was so upset I couldn't sleep last night. I'm not used to talking to, I talk a lot, but I'm not used to talking to groups. And I'm certainly not used to having people look at me while I'm talking to groups. And so I was very, very nervous. And this is, of course, a lifetime experience, and it's overwhelming. It really is, to have so many people come and listen to anything I have to say. So I really am very grateful that you're here.
Beautiful. Let's give it up. Really quickly, as they get prepared, raise your hand if you heard of Sally Hemings. Raise your hand, Sally Hemings. Wow, we got some work to do. Anyone heard of Monticello with Thomas Jefferson? Monticello, you know, you've heard of the president, Thomas Jefferson, correct? Okay. Yeah, so definitely, you know, being as though we are here for Black History, I just want you all to know that you are looking at American herstory right here. You're looking at the oldest living descendant of Sally Hemings of Monticello, and she's from Pittsburgh. Can we give her an applause for that? And her life is so incredible and so amazing that Netflix is doing a film on her life that I'm helping to produce as well. So there are individuals from Westinghouse, public schools, whatever the case is. She started from the bottom, now she's here. And she's here to tell it and to keep it real with y'all. So the fact that at 95 years, she's still rocking and rolling, still sharp as a tack. She's beautiful, but she will cut you if you get it twisted. So we wanted to definitely present you with something. Do you want to come on?
Well, good afternoon, Westinghouse. Good afternoon, Westinghouse. We're celebrating. How do you feel? Come on now. We have Dr. Mary Brady here. Come on. How do you feel? You're supposed to say fired up. This is Westinghouse. Now, how do you feel? There you go, Dr. Brady. Dr. Atkins. Thank you, sir. My name is Melvin Hubbard Eo. I'm here with the Westinghouse Commission of Recognition. This is Valeria Bullock and also Dawn Webb Turner, and we are so honored to be here today to do this. And we know that the Westinghouse Wall of Fame is a place where it symbolizes outstanding achievement. It's for you students here to aspire to be on the wall. And today it is our pleasure to begin this ceremony of inducting Dr. Mary Lee Brady-Atkins into the Westinghouse Wall of Fame. Do you want to read what it says, Valeria?
Yes. Westinghouse High School Commission Recognition wants to honor, okay, sorry. wants to honor Dr. Mary Lee Brady-Atkins to the 2023 Wall of Fame induction. We are honored to have you on the wall with all our other greats that have been there, and there's about 100 people, well over 100 people on that wall, so you'll be up there with Billy Strayhorn and Earl Gardner, and oh my goodness, this is an array of people. So I hope you get to see it while you're here. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, did you? Oh, you're going to be able to take her around? Okay. All right, then we'll do that then. Okay, but it's more than an honor to present you with this.
We're gonna get a picture.
We need photographers. How does it feel? Yeah, you can get a picture for sure. Come on, no, let's get it for your TikTok, bro. Let's go.
Okay, and then we
Got a
have,
tickety top.
okay, so we also have Ms. Gainey's here for a special presentation.
Let's give it up for First Lady Michelle Gainey in the building. Okay, fancy.
Cut it out, email. Good afternoon, everyone. I also, Dr. Atkins, am a graduate of Westinghouse High School. Woo, woo. Yes. I am standing in for my husband, who was not able to attend, but who better than a fellow Bulldog? So I am just going to go right to the pieces that I think are most important in the proclamation as we celebrate and honor you today. And it is a great honor, and it's with the utmost appreciation that the city of Pittsburgh recognizes the exceptional life and career of Dr. Mary Lee Brady-Atkins. She is the oldest living descendant of Sally Hemings. She was born May 11th, 1928, here in Pittsburgh. She has had an esteemed psychology career at Michigan State University, where she taught for 51 years. 51 years. She's inspired and touched countless generations of students and scholars. The Michigan State University Board of Trustees appointed her Professor Emeritus, a truly well-deserved honor. She's received the 2022 Distinguished Alumni Award from the University of Pittsburgh's African American Alumni Council, which is a tremendous honor illuminating her life and achievements. And I'm gonna step in, Mr. Mayor, excuse me. Michelle Gainey, First Lady of the City of Pittsburgh, along with my husband, Ed Gainey, Mayor of the City of Pittsburgh, do hereby proclaim February 8th, 2024 as Dr. Mary Elizabeth Hemings Brady Atkins Day in the City of Pittsburgh. And it's on this momentous occasion that we celebrate your induction into the Westinghouse Academy High School Wall of Fame and honor your remarkable contributions to our city, our county, our state, and our nation. We thank you and we celebrate you.
Let's give it up, y'all. Let's give it up. Wow, we got a holiday. We got a barbecue. So thank you for receiving all these incredible blessings that you so well deserve. But one thing about you that I found out, especially during the filming process, is that the best way to move forward is to give back. So I think the mic's too close to the speaker. All right. So the best way to move forward is to give back. And speaking to give back, I think you got some tricks up your sleeve on you want to present Westinghouse. Let's do that. Let's bring up Dr. Walters, and let's see what you got up your sleeve. You want to talk about what you got?
Well,
Yeah, what is this? What we got going on over here? You got it? Wow. This is for Pittsburgh Public Schools. All right, Doctor, could you tell us what it is? I'll hold the mic.
I have to tell you what this is.
You want me to hold it?
Here, no, I'll hold it.
Okay.
Here, you hold it.
Now, recently, President Thomas Jefferson has gotten a bad rap.
Talking to the mic.
I had a cousin call me and tell me that Jefferson's statues should be torn down, that he had no business running around raping women. Now, I hadn't given it much thought, but it upset me so. I kept saying, well, I wasn't there. Stupid comments like, of course I wasn't there, so I didn't know whether he raped a woman or not. But at any rate, I recall that in the year 20,000, I think, around 2001, you folks were pretty young, but there was a lot of controversy as to who was the father of Sally Hemings' children. And some said it was Jefferson, some said it wasn't. I hadn't given it much thought. Now, when I grew up, I was told that Thomas Jefferson was the father of my great-great-grandfather, Madison Hemings. And they would discuss this in the kitchen, and I would listen. And so when I was 10 years old, I had a great big badge of Ralph Landon, who was a Republican running for office. I went to school, Belmar, and I was bragging about Thomas Jefferson being one of my great-great-grandfathers. Everybody laughed at me, and all the way home till I was in tears. So I didn't say a word about Thomas Jefferson forever. In 20,000, or I guess 1998, a woman came out and said that she had been white all her life, and now she knows that she is partially black, Julia Westerson, and that Thomas Jefferson was one of her descendants. Then some other people came out, including a cousin of mine, who said that they also were descendants, and that their descendant was Tom, who was supposed to be been a baby that Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings had, who died. I wasn't quite sure which was which, except that I knew that I had a portrait of Madison Hemings' daughter in my hallway, and that would be Sally Hemings' great-great-grandchild. So I knew from what my family said that Thomas Jefferson was in my life somewhere. There was a lot of discussion about who sired Sally Hemings' children. And I withdrew from all the controversy because I was irritated that everyone was running around really pimping Sally Hemings to make money, write books, have lectures and so forth. And I didn't want any part of it, so I withdrew. It wasn't until last year when an individual by the name of Sanjay Kawal and Ime approached me and expressed an interest in the Sally Hemings, Thomas Jefferson saga. And then there were some individuals who were interested in doing some DNA to prove once and for all, is he or is he the father of Sally Hemings? And that's when everybody began to seek me out, because I had withdrawn from all of this. So I began to read about Thomas Jefferson and look at his literature and some of his beliefs. And I started looking at the Declaration of Independence. Now, most of you don't know that there are 3 drafts of the Declaration of Independence. The first 2 were rejected by Southern states Congress. This,
I said slave owners.
yeah, this is my husband, Robert Atkins, Colonel Robert Atkins. Anyhow, so and my husband is a historian, and he remembers this far better than I do. I don't remember the past. I'm so busy looking toward the future that where I've been is over. But he is very good and keeps reminding me when I make mistakes, so I have to have him along to keep me straight. But anyhow, I visited Monticello. Sanjay and eBay took me down to Monticello, and I purchased some drafts of the first and second copies that people don't know about. And here, this is what this is, the first and second draft, where Thomas Jefferson talks about slavery and his belief that slavery is wrong and that all people are created equal and they have a right to knowledge like everybody else.
And I want to say, and he didn't just write about us here. He wrote about Africa and the Caribbean. He said it was horrible. It was horrible.
Oh, cool. Grab the mic.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm saying, and I'm saying, okay, my God, I didn't realize the man included everybody. Everybody, you know, and so we're all in this, caught up in it, you know. And they shot him down because of his insistence upon it. They voted him down, and then finally he had the only thing he left in there for us, they put in there for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's all we got out of it. Everything else was taken out that he wrote about us. And so anyway, I said, that's a terrible indictment on that man, and we, some of his upper descent, white descendants and so forth, have helped us do this, and I appreciate it so very much.
Thanks, Al.
So at any rate, this is what this is. And I wanted you students to recognize that this was an individual who did think that all men were created equal and should be reminded of it every day. And the pursuit of happiness is a right for all of us. So that's what I'm donating.
Thank you.
Pittsburgh Public Schools. First and second draft. Her lineage. Let's give it up for Dr. Brady-Atkins. Let's give it up for yourselves as well. Give it up for Pittsburgh Public Schools, Ebony, Dr. Walters. Thank you all. Any photographers, come on up and grab some shots.